To sum up this movie, Ryan Gosling saves the Earth with the help of a rock. Welcome back to my 2 cents, everyone, and today I'm going to be giving you my 2 cents on Project Hail Mary. Project Hail Mary is the new hot space movie based off of a novel of the same name. And I'm going to be honest, I wasn't really hyped for this movie like everyone else. Not because I thought the movie was going to be bad, but just because I don't know anything about this story. And honestly, I just don't get very hyped for space movies for some reason. Probably because the size and the amount of dangerous shit that's in space gives me anxiety. Despite not having any real expectations, I walked into Project Hail Mary expecting something good, and what I got was one of the best movies of 2026 so far. Starting off with the characters as always, Ryan Gosling plays Dr. Ryland Grace, a school teacher who gets roped into helping NASA save the sun from dying. The poor bastard literally goes from teaching his students about the speed of light to examining some strange black substance that is killing the sun. This leads him to going on an expedition to find out why this substance is killing not just our sun, but every sun in the galaxy except for one. Ryan Gosling is one of those actors that's good in just about everything he's in, but every few years he gets a role in a really popular project that really gives him an opportunity to show his acting skills. Project Hail Mary is one of those films. He does an amazing job of portraying a relatively normal character who is now tasked with saving the world, a task that no normal person is ready to take on. On top of that, he is then expected to throw his life away to save the planet by going on a space expedition to God knows where, with no training whatsoever. There are a couple of scenes where Grace gets very emotional for very different reasons, and Ryan Gosling's acting in those scenes in particular is amazing. The highest compliment I think I can give Ryan Gosling for his acting as Grace is while there are definitely scenes where Ryan Gosling's natural personality kind of pokes out, I feel like I am watching Dr. Grace, not Ryan Gosling. Like his personality almost completely separates itself from Grace as a character, and I think that is a pretty impressive thing for an actor to do. Not to mention the fact that he's able to have amazing chemistry with an actual rock. Speaking of rocks, Rocky is a very well crafted character, who's voiced by James Ortiz, by the way. I know he is just an alien that communicates with sound until Dr. Grace gives him a voice, but like I said, his chemistry with Dr. Grace carries the second half of the movie. Rocky was sent on the same mission as Grace, and they just so happen to find each other while investigating why this sun in particular is not being eaten by astrophage. One problem that is very smart from a writing standpoint is Rocky and Grace live in two completely different atmospheres. Obviously. Therefore, why in the trailers you'll see that Rocky is in these sort of containment units while Grace is kind of just walking around. Rocky's atmosphere would kill Grace, and Grace's atmosphere would kill Rocky. And I say that that is smart because I think a lot of other films would just say that Rocky lives in the same atmosphere to have both of these characters interact without the need of a containment unit to separate them. So having this logical and detrimental barrier between these two was a very smart decision, and I think separates it from a lot of other films that would not have put this much attention to detail into the movie. I also love the way they balance the scenes between Rocky and Grace because they can both have their extremely emotional and heartbreaking scenes while balancing it with some nice humor and wholesome scenes to keep both each other and the audience grounded. Not to mention how impressive it is that Rocky was portrayed almost completely practically. Not only is that a great way to get a better reaction out of Ryan Gosling and the scenes together, but I believe this is how most films should operate. I always champion that films should go practical over digital. I understand there are some times where you can't go practical and you have to use digital, but this film was able to make an alien made of rocks completely practically and make it look great. So that's why I say always go for practical, especially when they're able to make puppets look this good. Sure, they use CGI to cover up the strings and little imperfections, but I am so impressed that they were able to make Rocky look so real while using effects that are totally practical. Anyways, Rocky is a good character with a unique design and is an amazing example of why practical is better than digital. Real quick, I just want to talk about Ava Straight's character. She is head of the whole operation to save the sun and is the one that recruits Grace to study astrophage. She's very cold and calculated to almost an inhuman degree in the first half of the movie, but I like that they give her some scenes in the second half to really give her some humility. Like that scene where she sings that Harry Styles song. That scene is so powerful because not only does it make Ava less of a cold bitch, but it gives the crew hope at a time where hope is not very abundant. I'm very thankful for those scenes that Ava isn't so focused on the mission, because if they didn't include those scenes, I probably would not have liked her as much, honestly. I still don't love her character, but it helps to know that there is some humanity in her. Overall, the characters are very well written and very well acted all across the board. I have no notes except more Carl. Now, the story of Project Hail Mary is a mysterious substance called astrophage is killing not just our sun, but almost every sun in the galaxy. So, in a rush to find out what this substance is, the government asks a very smart school teacher to find out how to stop this substance before it eats the sun alive, killing everything on Earth. They then discover that there is one sun that is not being eaten by astrophage. So they then send Dr. Grace into space with a small team of astronauts to find a way to save Earth. But unfortunately for Dr. Grace, he wakes up and discovers that all the other astronauts died along the way. And now he is the only member to survive the trip because I guess the universe just hates him. And now the only thing that Grace has left is the mission. So he travels to the astrophage killing sun and finds an alien ship, which of course leads him to meeting Rocky and being the first human to ever interact with an alien. That's all I'll say for now, just to avoid spoilers. This is such a logical and well-crafted story from Andy Weir, the same guy that wrote The Martian, by the way. Even with a premise that can seem so unrealistic, this movie still feels grounded. I know this could technically happen with how unpredictable and vast space is, but the likelihood of there being a cell that eats our sun is pretty unlikely. Even when Dr. Grace is light years away from Earth, he still holds on to his humanity. Barely. This is just one of those movies that reminds us that we aren't the center of the universe, and to hold on to hope even when it all seems lost. And like Superman, I think this is a movie that the world just needs right now. The timing of Project Hail Mary was impeccable because just about 2 weeks after this film came out, we launched a rocket to go around the moon. That was super cool to watch, by the way. I actually almost missed it because I was watching the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and by the time I got out, there was counting down to 10 minutes. I can't believe there are people that don't think us going to the moon again is cool. Anyways, the only things I'd really change about the story is making the first half a little less slow and making the last act a little less confusing. What I mean by that is when the story is coming to an end, it felt like the writers were conflicted on how they wanted to end the story. So while I was watching the movie, I saw like 3 different endings that it looked like they were conflicted with before the writers finally settled on the one we got. I like the ending, it's just while I was watching, I was just jumbling around all these ideas in my head for where they could be going for the ending, and was just getting confused as to which ending they were going to choose. But these nitpicks really don't ruin my experience with this movie at all. They're just little things that I wish were done a little better. There are so many great scenes to choose from for the That's Money segment, and because of that, I'm going to give you 2 That's Money awards this time. One for the scene in the trailer where Grace is collecting the astrophage. That scene is so beautifully made and just reminds me of why I believe that it is better to always go to a movie in a theater. My second pick for the That's Money award is a little bit of a spoiler, so spoiler warning for the next minute or so. I loved the scene where Rocky tells Grace that he can help him get home, and Grace realizing that he doesn't have to die here. Ryan's acting in that scene felt so genuine. This whole movie, he was just expecting this to be a one-way trip with no hope of going home. And seeing Grace finally get some good news, and more importantly, hope, can really bring a tear to your eye. Not me though, because men don't cry. Overall, guys, I mean, this is the best movie of 2026 so far, and it's a great start to the quote-unquote summer season of movies. masterpiece. Amazing story, great characters that are very well acted, and some amazing practical and digital effects that really remind me of why the theater is always the best place to watch a movie. I thought the first half was a little bit slow and the last half was a little bit confusing, but those are just little stars in the vastness of space in comparison to all the positives I can say about this movie. Obviously, the hope is that there will be a movie that comes out this year that is better than Project Hail Mary, but it's going to be hard for any 2026 movie to beat this one. So if you are a fan of movies like Interstellar or just love space movies altogether, you will absolutely love this movie. So go watch it in IMAX on the biggest screen closest to you, if you can afford it, that is, because Project Hail Mary is definitely worth paying double for. And that's my review of Project Hail Mary. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I know I do this at the end of basically every video I make, but I'm sorry for taking a long time to push this review out. The original plan was to have this review out a few days after my review of the Hiya Toys Godzilla, but I procrastinated on writing the script way too much. I will keep trying to get better at that. Anyways, go check out my previous videos. Seems like you guys really like it when I give you my 2 cents on figures, so there's probably going to be more of those in the future. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. We are getting so close to 100 subs, which is kind of crazy for me to say, so thank you guys, of course, for your continued support. I love you guys, and I will try to see you soon.